understand what is God. Now, there's so much talk about loving your fellow man. It's a very big subject today. But if you don't have some love of God, there's no possibility of loving your fellow man. The one who loves God, one who is Krishna conscious, he is a friend to every living entity. One cannot love God and at the same time be cruel and mean to other living entities, not even the poor animals. But one who is really a devotee of God, he has compassion toward every living creature. He must be completely harmless. Therefore, in our movement also, we are practicing what is the highest welfare work on every level. We are not harming any living creature. That's the negative part. And the positive part is that we're doing everything we can to bring all living entities back to God consciousness so they can be freed from all miseries coming from this material world. Actually, this material world is not our home, and we don't belong here. And it is the mission of every human being to reach the perfection of his human life by chanting the names of God and becoming God conscious, and by casting aside all the useless things that he has learned in so many wasted years in schools and colleges. So before we go any further, does anybody have any questions or anything you'd like to say? Some of our guests.
You said that you can call God by many names. Yet how do you relate to the person, say, of Jesus Christ or of another spiritual leader?
Jesus Christ said that he was the Son of God. So therefore, we also accept this. Jesus said, in the Bible, Jesus said, I am the Son. And Krishna said, I'm the Father. So there isn't any contradiction. Jesus said, worship God. Krishna said, worship me. So there's no contradiction between Christianity and Krishna consciousness, because both are directed toward love of God. If by your practice of Christianity you are learning to love God, then that is true Christianity. If by your practice of Christianity you simply go to church on Sunday and do all nonsense the rest of the week, then your Christianity is worthless.
You said in your talk that nobody's witnessed life from death. Well, what about in our religion, the Christian religion? Jesus Christ rose from the dead, so...
But he was already alive. He was already alive, then he was crucified and rose back, which showed that he couldn't be killed. Because he was on a spiritual platform, he couldn't be killed, because the soul cannot be killed. The body is killed, the soul is never killed. We can even see example. At this one time, all of us were little babies, and we had little baby bodies. Now we have adult bodies. These baby bodies are gone, completely vanished, but we're still alive. Because the body can die, but the soul does not die. This we have experience of, even in our lifetime. But what no one has any experience of is something dead like this rug coming to life. No one has ever seen that. Wherever there is life, there was life before injecting the life. A dead mother and father cannot produce a child. They must be alive.
Okay, you said that we don't belong here on earth. Now, how were we put here, or why were we put here, or where do we belong?
All right, because love of God has to be voluntary. If it's not voluntary, it's not love. If I'm forcing you to do what I say, if I'm forcing you to be affectionate, there's no question of love. Therefore, every living being has a certain amount of free will. Those who choose to misuse their free will come into this material world where it is possible to forget God. In the spiritual world, no one can forget God. That is the world for those who want to always remember God. And in that world, there is no death, because everybody is eternal. Everything everyone does is eternal. But our perverted desires have brought us down into this plane of living, into this universe, into this world, where there's nothing but suffering. Actually, even when we think we're enjoying in this world, there is no enjoyment here, because the only enjoyable thing is God or Krishna. Enjoyment in this world is compared to when it's very cold out. You might put on a very warm coat, and you think, oh, this is so nice, this coat feels so good. But actually, all you're doing is pushing away the suffering. So any pleasure in this world is like that. All you're doing is pushing away your suffering. But the platform of real positive pleasure is the platform of love of God. And when one has this kind of knowledge, the material pleasures are no longer interesting.
If you do have spiritual beliefs, then tell me this: why, if you don't believe in material things, then why are you dressed this way? Why aren't you dressed like us, or why aren't we dressed like you?
Okay, fine.
Why?
Let me define what is material, what is spiritual. Material means forgetfulness of God. Spiritual means remembrance of God. Spiritual does not mean void or absence of variety or absence of action. But spiritual means everything is utilized in remembrance of God. And material means everything is utilized in forgetfulness of God. Just like if you're running around chasing after every girl you see, smoking, drinking, doing all kinds of things like that, you're not doing anything for God. You're doing everything in forgetfulness of God.
But God drank. God did drink. God drank wine.
God can do a lot of things. You see, God can do
We
a lot
as
of
His children
things.
should be able to do those too.
If it's done according to the formulas given in the Scriptures. Like, of course, in our group, we never touch alcohol. Now, the Christians and the Jews are permitted according to their Scriptures. This way, if the taking of wine is done according to the Scriptures, it's done in remembrance of God. That way it's permitted, just like sex. Every religion permits sex in marriage, and it can be done in remembrance of God. But every religion